Welcome, friends. I'm Andy, the storyteller. Today I have another fun adventure to share from Farmer Brown's Dinosaur Farm. So grab your favorite stuffy and find a nice quiet spot. We're about to take a trip to Farmer Brown's Dinosaur Farm. It was a brisk autumn day on Farmer Brown's Dinosaur Farm. The sun was shining, the air was filled with laughter, and the school children were excited to see the dinosaurs at the farm. Every year, Farmer Brown gave a few guided tours to school children. Mrs. Brown was a teacher, and every year she would bring her class and another one from her school to see the farm. One big yellow school bus was parked in front of the Browns' house. Inside, 50 kids and their teachers waited for Farmer Brown to board the bus and start the tour. Farmer Brown sloshed his way to the bus. It had been raining for a week, and the normally flat dirt road was muddy and yucky. The bus driver opened the door, and Farmer Brown stepped up and waved to the kids. They all clapped as if he was a movie star. To the kids on the bus, he was the most famous person they'd ever met. Farmer Brown was a legend in these mountains. "Howdy," said Farmer Brown. "Y'all ready to see some dinosaurs?" All of the kids clapped and cheered, except for one. Her name was Anna, and she was the smallest kid in the class. She was nervous about seeing big dinosaurs. Her teacher, Mrs. Brown, knew that, and she sat with Anna to make sure she would not get scared. The bus driver closed the door and started driving up the muddy road. As they went, Farmer Brown walked up and down the aisle of the school bus, pointing out different dinosaurs and telling stories. He even told the one about Sarah tossing him into the air when she had a tree branch stuck in her teeth. Mrs. Brown also told a story about Patty getting out and getting a milkshake. The children were amazed to see an Apatosaurus, several T-Rexes, and the raptors. It was the best field trip of the year. When they made the turn at the pond to come back, the bus stopped suddenly. That's when the bus driver realized they were stuck in the mud. Farmer Brown and the bus driver got out to take a look at what was going on. The front two wheels of the bus were stuck down in the mud. There was no getting out. The bus driver was worried because they had to get the kids back to school in time to be picked up by the end of the day. Together, the Browns talked outside for a moment. All of the kids opened up the bus windows and stuck their heads out to hear what was going on. After a moment, Farmer Brown started running down the road away from the bus. Mrs. Brown stepped up on the bus and got everyone's attention. "Children," she said, "we're going to see a dinosaur up close. Are you excited?" They all cheered. "Okay, everyone get out your lunch bag and eat. Farmer Brown will be back in a bit with a surprise to rescue us." The kids chatted and ate on the bus. Then they felt the ground rumble. It felt like a giant was walking down the road. Anna, the smallest student, became very scared and clung to Mrs. Brown. The kids stuck their heads out the window to see Farmer Brown leading Steggy, the Stegosaurus, to the front of the bus. Steggy was so big, he looked like a green and orange school bus. To make sure everyone was safe, the teachers got the kids off the bus and they stood under a nearby tree to watch what happened next. Together, the bus driver and Farmer Brown ran a rope around the front of the bus and tied the other end to one of the tall bony plates on the Stegosaurus's back. "Don't worry," Farmer Brown told the kids. "This won't hurt him. He pulls my tractor out of the mud all the time." Farmer Brown patted Steggy on the side. He reached in his pocket for a carrot. Carrots were a special treat for Steggy. If he held one up to his nose, he would follow him, and when he did, he would pull the bus right out of the mud. But Farmer Brown's pocket was empty. He'd forgotten to get a carrot from the barn. It was getting late, and the kids had to get back to school. Mrs. Brown realized what had happened. "Children," she said, "does anybody have a leftover carrot in their lunch?" All of the kids looked in their bags, but no one seemed to have one. Then, in the back, the smallest girl in the class raised her hand in the air. Anna was holding the biggest carrot you had ever seen. Everyone clapped for Anna. Holding the newfound carrot, Farmer Brown waved it under Steggy's large nose. His eyes opened wide and he licked his lips. Farmer Brown stepped back and Steggy stepped forward. He stepped back again and Steggy followed him. After only 4 steps, Steggy completely pulled the bus out of the mud. The kids clapped and cheered for Steggy. They were given special permission to pet the Stegosaurus to say thanks. Even Anna petted Steggy. She wasn't afraid anymore. As the bus drove by the Browns' house on the way out, Steggy stood in the yard with Farmer Brown. Farmer Brown waved his hand to say goodbye, and Steggy waved his tail. The end. I hope you enjoyed this story. Here's some more facts about the Stegosaurus. The Stegosaurus was about the length of a school bus and weighed 14,000 pounds. As large as the Stegosaurus was, its brain was about the size of a walnut. Some scientists think that the Stegosaurus had a second helper brain near its tail. Make sure your parents follow Farmer Brown's Dinosaur Farm so you can hear more stories from the farm. We'd love to know what you think of our show. Follow us on Facebook and let us know. Just search for Farmer Brown's Dinosaur Farm. This show is brought to you by The Secure Dad. Parents can learn new ways to live safer, happier lives at thesecuredad.com.